All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for more One Punch Man. Time to see what this new chapter has in store for us. So let's get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here. Welcome back to One Punch Man. In the last chapter, we were essentially cutting away from really, we're just focusing on this big attack that's happening over all of the cities. And, terrible tornadoes being caught up in it, tank top masters being caught up in it. All major heroes from the Hero Association are being caught up in these so called random monster attacks, which I earnestly and honestly believe is the result of McCoy trying to run the Heroes Association ragged just to make Neo Heroes look better. And when it looks like all these monsters are being subdued by these S rank heroes, it seems like these monsters have way more going on with them to make them a bit of a bigger threat to these S ranks. So, for one example, we had one smoke monster going up against Tank Top Master, who then proceeded to get split into many pieces by Flashy Flash. But of course, the smoke is still existing within the city rather than dissipating, which would be normal. Then Terrible Tornado takes this giant, massive bugs that's in the city and just squashes them and wrings them out, just like she did to the Monsters Association base way back when in the old arc that we went through. But now, all of a sudden, an even larger mass of bugs is erupting out of the streets, erupting out of buildings, and it's even greater than when she even first arrived. So there's a lot of stuff going on here with these monsters, and I honestly feel like this is all of McCoy's doing. So let's see what happens in Punch 226, Existential Threat Part 2. And we have Terrible Tornado.
Just one of these critters can split into more, so I have to get rid of every last egg. This leaves me no choice.
And then while she's floating in the air, one bug manages to hit her on the back of the leg, and she immediately just goes like, "Ah!"
Get your creepy claws off of me!
And the entire city just gets completely decimated. Like she just goes, almighty push, and then everything around her just implodes, and there's no. I think that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I had to walk away. It's not often that I have to walk away from a One Punch Man chapter. And I had to grab my phone as well. But she literally reduced the entire city to dust. And I don't mean it metaphorically or poetically or theatrically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. She's literally sitting on one piece that's still solid, a piece of rubble, and then the entire city is just buried in dust and sand. There is literally almost nothing left of this city. You only see pieces just peeking out from this giant mound of earth that just, it is ridiculous. It's like looking at New York, and then all of a sudden, New York is buried. All of New York, where you can't even see any buildings. That's what she did.
Why even bother resisting? I can't believe some monsters still think large numbers will beat me. Or was the goal widespread destruction? In that case, they succeeded. I had to reduce the whole town to...
It's sand. I knew it. She reduced the entire city to sand. It is nothing but sand.
I had to reduce the whole town to sand.
And then we get a news crew showing up. And dude just shows up going with it's a news crew, cameras and everything going, "This is PTV. Terrible tornado, right? Why didn't you wait for Neo Heroes to arrive? Was it really necessary to destroy the town?" I get a feeling that Neo Heroes has bought the media. I get a feeling that Neo Heroes may have some pull with the news. Just from that one sentence. Why didn't you wait for Neo Heroes to arrive? Because Neo Heroes would have been too slow and there would have been way more destruction.
Huh? Those bugs would have consumed the whole continent. I saved your butt, so stop grumbling.
She doesn't seem to be sorry. Saying this directly in front of the camera. Yep, I honestly feel like Neo Heroes may have a hand in the media in order to make it seem like the Heroes Association is worse than them. I get that feeling. She doesn't seem to be sorry.
Next time I'll pulverize you. Huh, what idiocy.
And she flies off.
Oh, are you avoiding us? Hey!
Yep. This news crew is in the pocket of Neo Heroes. I don't trust anybody. Ever since my assumption at first and then everyone else's assumption, our gathered assumption of McCoy, I don't trust any outlets that approaches the Heroes Association. I don't trust a single one. I'm looking at every single one of them with ulterior motives. But she just flies up in the air, and we get an even larger view. We get an even larger view of the city. She reduced... I don't think you guys understand what I mean when I'm saying she reduced the entire town to sand. It stretches on for miles. Miles. Let me say that again. Miles upon miles. It is literally an entire desert now. Not like a small area of sand. Not like a small section of a region. No, the entire space has been reduced to nothing but sand. This is actually larger than Payne's almighty push of the Leaf Village. Because the Leaf Village, it's a big place, but she literally just reduced everything to sand. And now we're in city. Now we cut to City L, and we get Blue, who's backflipping all over the place, avoiding blasts of some kind that is apparently super hot, that it's basically melting through buildings, causing buildings to topple, and melting through cars completely. Threat level dragon, eel dragon. And it's basically just, it might as well be like a lamprey. It's more lamprey than eel, but it's this long serpentine-like eel-like creature with multiple eyes, sharp teeth, inside, covering the entire area in fire and destruction, and I believe water as well. And Blue is the one fighting this thing, and it looks like there's two of them. Either that, or both ends have heads on them. And it lets off either, that's not fire, that looks like acid. It just lets out some acid, and Blue jumps away from the building, and the acid just chews through the building completely. If I don't focus, that thing will melt me. Then we cut to City T, and there's an explosion that happens in the middle of the city, and then it consumes pretty much every building in the process. It starts out like an explosion in the center, and then that explosion becomes an even bigger explosion, and then just takes out the rest of the buildings. And there's someone who's point blank at the point of this explosion, and it's Genos. It's Genos. And he won. Yeah, he basically blew up this monster beyond any sort of regeneration, but he also took out a ginormous amount of buildings in the process. That's a lot of collateral damage. I won, but once again, it was a tough fight. And then he just falls backwards after basically charring his entire body, clothes and all. I defeated a threat-level dragon monster. That means I am growing stronger, but the monsters are also getting more vicious, so it's impossible to keep up. And then we get civilians.
The rumbling stopped. Oh, look!
The monster's gone.
Demon Cyborg wasted those demons.
But he looks really beat up.
Well, at least he won.
Is he still alive?
That looks painful.
I'm worried.
What if there are more demons? If this keeps up, we're all goners. Oh, look! Neo Heroes is here!
I must get even stronger. Stronger. And that's the end of the chapter. Neo Heroes showing up. Right as Genos defeats this monster. Yep, I told y'all. They're either gonna come in and try and swoop in and make it look like they're the ones who saved the heroes, or they're gonna show up at the last minute and be the ones to try and take some credit with, getting Genos better or something. I don't know, but it's just hearing Neo Heroes showing up after the heroes from the Heroes Association have done their thing. It just gives me such a bad feeling in terms of the press, in terms of the publicity. Let me see what you guys have said. All right, Ogata, good to see you. Holster, good to see you. Doing good. It's a nice warm day. How about yourself? Yeah, if this was a plan to get the S-class heroes to destroy the cities they're in to make the Hero Association look bad, the city destruction part is definitely working. It is. Evil gummy worm, that's what I'll call it. Talk about firepower. Oh no, why is someone from Neo Heroes here? Yo, Abdullah, what's going on? I hope they don't take Genos while he's in this state. I swear if they take the credit, that's what I'm saying. Going through this whole chapter, we see yet another display of just how powerful Terrible Tornado is. And I feel like we brought this up. Did we not bring this up before? I could be completely wrong. We probably didn't bring it up because I'm not getting the inkling in my memory of us bringing up like collateral damage in terms of the city. But what we see in this chapter is collateral damage across multiple very powerful heroes, such as Terrible Tornado and Genos. And we see an entire town from Terrible Tornado get reduced to sand. She literally used her psychokinesis to basically decimate everything around her. And all you see is just miles upon miles upon miles of endless sand. It's crazy. It's like looking at the map of the Mad Max video game, or just Mad Max in general. It's just nothing but endless sand. And the news shows up and are questioning her like, why didn't you wait for Neo Heroes? Because already Neo Heroes has been seen as the go-to Heroes Association, apparently in the eyes of the people, to the point where the Heroes Association being able to handle things is no longer good enough. See, I already told you, it already just feels off to me with how the news is questioning, like, why didn't you wait for Neo Heroes to arrive? And Terrible Tornadoes are like, the whole town would have been completely eaten away by these things. Mind you, still doesn't look good for Terrible Tornado simply because she pretty much reduced the entire town to nothing. So it doesn't look good either way. And given her given her volatile nature, her standoffish attitude towards actually answering these questions, doesn't exactly paint a good look for an S-rank hero to respond in the wake of basically an entire town being reduced to nothing but sand. So, in the publicity standpoint of this, Terrible Tornado's response to this monster and her response to dealing with this monster, resulting in the complete destruction of an entire city, just reduced to nothing, does not look good for the Heroes Association. So that could work against them. Then we get Genos in City T, and he blows up a monster, but winds up blowing up way more buildings in the process in order to take down this monster. And of course he does so, but he's also left severely impaired. And now Neo Heroes is showing up. Also, let's not forget that despite there being multiple heroes from the Heroes Association actually dealing with these creatures, Blue, the leader of Neo Heroes, is actually out there fighting in City L, but he's actually not doing anything towards this eel dragon monster due to the fact that he spent pretty much all the panels he was in dodging. So while Terrible Tornado and Genos were able to bring down the monsters that they were dealing with, Blue is still not there to bring down the one that he's dealing with right now. And mind you, these are all threat level dragon creatures. All of them. So they're quite strong. But even Terrible Tornado can tell that... Let me go back. Let me go. Let's see. Or she's saying, like, I can't believe some monsters still think large numbers will beat me. Or was the goal widespread destruction? In that case, they succeeded. I had to reduce the whole town to sand. So I feel like this was a plan to not only get the heroes from the Heroes Association tired, but also allow them to deal with monsters that had literally no problem causing widespread collateral damage and destruction. And in the process, make it seem like the Heroes Association heroes are reckless, don't care about the buildings they destroy, and making them seem like they're incredibly reckless with how they handle the situation when it comes to monsters. Even though the monsters we've seen Neo Heroes deal with, they were also destructive, I feel like these monsters were sent out here on purpose, specifically ones that were good at causing widespread collateral damage against these S-rank heroes in order for them to have to deal with them on a widespread scale, therefore causing even more collateral damage, and make it seem like the Heroes Association is haphazard with the heroes that they have, and also the S-ranks are incredibly reckless with the powers that they have and how they deal with monsters. This all plays in the press because the news, which I strongly think already has been tainted by Neo Heroes, will probably make it seem like the S-rank heroes of the Heroes Association are way worse than Neo Heroes when it comes to containment of these creatures. So that's why I feel this was all a ploy, not only to get them tired, but to make them look bad in terms of their lack of control. Because Genos blowing up a city, Tornado flattening and completely atomizing a city, this won't look good in terms of the people who once lived in these cities. Because I forgot what city this was. I forgot what city this one was. Yeah, I forgot what city this one was. All of this seems like it was a ploy to make the heroes seem reckless. That's just what it feels like to me. I worry they'll take Genos because we've seen them take people already. Yes, they've taken people, but it's just been their own people. They haven't taken anyone from the Heroes Association with them. They only took Inferschnave and Zadats. So they took their own people with them. But I don't know if they have the intentions of taking a hero from the Heroes Association. It would look bad on them, but hold on. So I don't know if they're going to try and take Genos, but given the fact that he's still thinking that he needs to get stronger, and he's currently not in a state where he can move of his own volition, I would not be surprised if they try to take Genos. And given how Genos is so heavily modified, think about that for a second. Oh, you actually bring up a good point, Holster. Given how they have so many augmented people in their ranks, and Genos in and of himself is an incredibly augmented person. Matter of fact, how much of Genos is completely modified? How much of him is completely cyborg? Is he literally 100% cyborg? Because last time I checked, we've seen Genos get reduced down to literally his own torso before. And he really doesn't have any like blood anymore. His whole body is just purely cybernetic. Yes? Yeah. Yeah, his whole body is purely cybernetic. It's just that his face still needs like, replacement, but that's it. Yeah, that's it. So it brings to mind how augmented Genos is. And if it's way more augmented than Destro and Edelman. Hmm. Huh. I really hope they don't take Genos because his body modifications are incredibly substantial. And what's to say that they won't look at Genos as a potential test subject to see how far they can push human augmentation? Do you have Berserk manga? I do not. What if Neo Heroes pitches a deal to make him stronger? Because Genos did say I need to get stronger. He did say he needs to get stronger. And he sees Saitama as the epitome of strength itself. And he wants to be of great use to Saitama. This could be the moment where Genos is tempted. I must get even stronger. You bring up a very good point. This could be the moment where Genos himself is tempted to join Neo Heroes with the promise of we can make your body stronger than it already is. But then again, Genos is indebted, heavily indebted, lifelong indebted to Dr. Kusano. So who's to say if he actually takes that deal, given how pretty much Dr. Kusano is the only one who's been augmenting Genos this whole time. And mind you, Genos continues to get stronger because Dr. Kusano keeps upgrading him. Who's to say if he'll actually leave? Hmm. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see it. And then also, is this the only chapter of One Punch Man we got this month? No, we actually got one on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. We actually got one. We got one then. But, that's a very good point. So either one or two things is going to happen for Genos. One, Neo Heroes will approach him and try to recruit him in the hopes of, tempting him, not tantalizing, but tempting him with the thought of he can get even stronger than he is before by joining with them. Or he refuses them because he is still indebted to Dr. Kusano and he stays with the Heroes Association where Saitama is. Mind you, I'm still thinking back to the conversation when Genos intercepted Blue when Blue was chasing after Saitama, who had a My Mask in tow. And even Genos was all like, even I don't know what's going on with Master Saitama. And he had this look on his eye of like, what are you doing, Master? So I don't know if that meant anything in terms of his inner monologue or anything of that nature. But seeing as how every time he tries to have a sparring match with Saitama, he never gets closer to Saitama in strength because Saitama's strength just is. He is strength itself. If you think strength has a limit, Saitama's past that. So every time he spars with Saitama, I'm pretty sure he's being filled with, I need to get even stronger so I can be of great help to Saitama, so I can do things that even he can't do. Or something like that. You know how he is. He's very heavily indebted to Saitama and, reveres him, respects him. He chooses to be his pupil and everything. So, what's to say that all these sparring matches that they have, what's to say that he's not thinking, I wonder if Neo Heroes has a way for me to become even stronger. That way I could be of use to Saitama, Master Saitama. What if I would not be surprised if he gets tempted with that idea? Or he could just straight up refuse them because it's all like, well, you never invited Saitama, and I would hate to be on opposing sides with him, so no thank you. Because Genos almost has this same nonchalance to him that Saitama does, but Saitama is just like the epitome of nonchalance to everything else happening around him. So I don't know, but we'll have to see. But it'll be interesting to see what will happen if Neo Heroes tries to recruit Genos instead, tries to recruit Genos in the hopes of getting him to join his side. Because remember, they like trying to recruit S rank heroes. A ranks and S ranks, specifically S ranks. I mean, they already have Metal Bat, they already have Child Emperor, and they already have Super Alloy Black Luster, who's just basically a trainer. So I would not be surprised if they try to recruit Genos on the promise of making him stronger. But even then, I feel there's still an ulterior motive here if they try to get him. But like I said, all of this feels like a plan from McCoy to, weaken the Heroes Association even further. Weaken their S-rank heroes. Remember, we still got Machine God Mirror, who's over at the Hero Association right now, and Suika is dealing with this thing in the hopes of it finding King. With this thing hoping it finds King to kill him. So we still have things to deal with. Tank Top Master and Flashy Flash versus this smoke monster that apparently isn't dead. And then, of course, Machine God Mirror. And everything else has been decimated. Eel Dragon is still being contended by Blue, but Blue has basically been spending all of its time just dodging, and it's like McCoy trying to warn him, wait, your suit isn't fully charged yet, you're not fully charged yet, and Blue is all like, no, I gotta go save some people. So I wouldn't be surprised if even the Neo Hero leaders have no idea that McCoy is actually sending these monsters out. Because the way Blue behaves, it doesn't give me the vibes of someone who knows that monsters are being released out into the public and people are being harmed. He doesn't strike me as that type of individual. Blue strikes me as a type that McCoy would purposefully keep in the dark in order to further his own ends. So I wouldn't be surprised if McCoy is actually playing every other hero in Neo Heroes against the Heroes Association itself, sending all these monsters out just to make Neo Heroes look better. So I wouldn't be surprised if the only person McCoy is actually looking out for and actually looking to further in this field is literally himself. No allegiances to not even the Son of Blast, literally the strongest hero in the Heroes Association. The strongest recognized hero in the Heroes Association. So I wouldn't be surprised if McCoy is actually sending these monsters out and the heroes of Neo Heroes have absolutely no idea about it either. Literally playing both sides against each other, and he's the only one that benefits. Yeah, Blue seems like a gullible fool for McCoy. Exactly my point. This idea came from the moment when McCoy tried to warn him that his suit wasn't fully charged, and Blue was all like, I don't care, I need to go, there's another explosion, another monster's over there. Blue strikes me as a person that if he was in the Heroes Association, he would be a genuine hero. Like a genuine hero who's not in it for the accolades, but he's doing it for the love of the game. He's doing it because that's what a hero would do. Same thing with Neo Heroes, though. But he does not strike me as a person that would, sleep well knowing that a person he's working with is purposefully allowing these destructive creatures out into the open, putting civilian lives at risks and buildings and entire towns and cities at risk, all for the sake of manipulating and making another organization look bad. Doesn't strike me as that type of person that would be okay knowing that. Simply from his behavior towards Genos and towards Saitama and trying to bring in a My Mask, and also his disposition when even his suit wasn't fully charged and still went out of his way to go towards the explosion of where another monster was attacking. So Blue, I feel, is also being used. McCoy is literally using everybody. To what end, we don't know, but I feel like he's using everybody. You know, at first I thought like, oh, this is just a organization with just ne'er-do-wells and people who are actually evil being used against the Heroes Association, and they're just fine with it. No, I feel like McCoy is literally playing everyone, not just the Heroes Association, but even the leaders and subordinates of Neo Heroes itself. I feel like the only ones. I don't think all of the Neo Heroes are bad. I think a lot of the higher ups are bad, but I can see a lot of the heroes in that organization did not be aware of these monsters being plotted. Yeah, so here's my thing, and I'm glad you brought this up. What I was about to say right before I said your comment was, I feel the only ones who knows the true intentions of McCoy are Destro and Airman. Because they seem like his go-to agents to do things in the background. Hence why we only see them when they're doing shady stuff. You know, escorting those two failed leaders down into the deep recesses of Neo Heroes, whose fate are still unknown. Or sending Destro and Airman to collect the bodies of Zadats and Inferschnave, who have been taken to places unknown, and yet we don't see them anywhere else. I feel like those two individuals are the only ones who truly know McCoy's motives and his reasons for doing everything. But everyone who's been recruited by McCoy, they have no idea. Some are there to actually be heroes. Some are there to further their own ends. But I feel like not a single one of them are privy to the actual plans of McCoy. They're just being manipulated. Everyone is being manipulated by McCoy. McCoy reminds me of Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Yep. McCoy is literally Littlefinger, just coming up with just in the midst of this game, and he's the game master, and everyone is just falling into place while he's having all these plans go forth and prosper and succeed. He literally has that Littlefinger vibe, playing everybody, and it all still manages to benefit only him. That's what I feel about this. When we come out of this arc and McCoy is found out, it is going to be quite the sight to see. I don't know if we're going to see it happen anytime soon, but it's like we talked about many days ago on the 1st. It's like we talked about on the 1st. McCoy, and I just literally forgot what we said about McCoy. It was in my head, and then it disappeared as I was talking. No, it was right there. Oh, yeah. When all of this comes crashing down around McCoy, and we find out his true plan is going to be incredibly satisfying. There it is. Because we still don't know McCoy's true reasons for doing all of this. We don't know. But it should be interesting to see how things unfold. But overall, pretty decent chapter. Didn't expect myself to talk about it as much as I did, but seeing all this stuff happen just gives me this vibe that not only is the Heroes Association being manipulated, but Neo Heroes is being manipulated as well. One side is being manipulated in order to make the Hero Association look bad. The other is being manipulated to make themselves seem better than the Heroes Association in order to further the ends of McCoy. And both sides have no idea that McCoy is caught up in both. So it should be interesting. We'll have to see. All I know is, like I said before, if Saitama gets involved at all, everything that McCoy had planned would just go up in smoke. Because Saitama lies outside of plans. He lies outside of reason. He lies outside of limits. There's literally no limits to how much Saitama can interfere. So, it's only a matter of time before Saitama gets lumped up in there, it nonchalantly punches away the problem, and then goes home while McCoy is left holding the bag, wondering how did everything go so wrong. So we'll have to see. overall, pretty decent chapter. Looking forward to the next one. I don't think we're getting another chapter this month, though. So, see you guys in May. April, May. Yeah, see you guys in May. But I'm done. To everyone here, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even consider supporting me on my membership and or Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!